Sequencing clauses and phrases. This video is about helping you write your sentences, your ideas in a more straightforward and direct manner. Sometimes writing becomes tricky to read when a student is combining independent with dependent clauses in the sentence. For example, Khan, when he plays guitar, is happiest. So we have two clauses in this sentence. The main idea is that Khan is happiest. That's our independent clause. And the dependent clause, when Khan plays guitar, or when he plays guitar, that gives us the extra information to tell us when Khan is happiest. But the original sentence has these unnecessary pauses in it. It starts with one idea, then goes to another, then goes back to the original. Okay. You can improve this by changing the order of the words and keeping the independent clause together. Khan is happiest, and then our dependent clause, when he plays guitar. If you think about how the original sentence was written, it's almost like you need commas here. Khan, when he plays guitar, is happiest. The only way to really understand that clearly is to have slight pauses where those commas are. And those commas, if you can see, go around the dependent clause. So to improve this, make it more straightforward and direct, Khan is happiest when he plays guitar. Technically, you could put those commas in, but again, we've got pause, pause in one reasonably short sentence that contains two very simple ideas. It's not as straightforward and direct. I wouldn't use that one. I would use this example. Have one clause and then the other where they're not interrupting each other. Here's another example. She never, since Janavi always wears sunscreen, gets sunburnt. So we've got a couple of ideas here. Janavi always wears sunscreen and she never gets sunburnt. But we've got one clause interrupting another clause. She never, since Janavi always wears sunscreen, gets sunburnt. So let's make this more straightforward and direct. Since Janavi always wears sunscreen, she never gets sunburnt. So we're keeping this dependent clause at the beginning and then leaving the independent clause at the end, which is uninterrupted. Something else you could do is just switch the sequence of those two clauses around. Okay, so this main clause goes at the beginning and this other one has been switched to the end. Janavi never gets sunburnt since she always wears sunscreen. And that's much more straightforward and direct than our original one at the top here. When combining independent clauses with phrases, that is extra information that doesn't contain a verb, things can sometimes get a little bit muddled too. For example, the bus along the freeway travelled. We've got really two pieces of information here. One is the fact that the bus was travelling, and the second piece of information, our phrase, is where the bus was travelling. It was along the freeway. So in our original sentence up here, we have our main clause, the fact that the bus travelled, and again, it's been interrupted by the extra information, by this phrase. So we need to resequence our words so that our main clause isn't interrupted. The bus travelled along the freeway. The main piece of information followed by the extra piece of information. So just some general advice to recap. Avoid breaking up the main independent clause. Think about the main action or idea of the sentence and ensuring that the extra information you provide about when or how or what it looks like, for example, doesn't interrupt that main idea. That main idea, that main clause, try to put it either at the beginning or at the end of the sentence, not trying to do both. And when you do add that extra information there, often a comma will help make it make the sentence even easier to read. For example, whenever there is a thunderstorm, my cat hides under the bed. The main idea in this sentence, the main independent clause, is my cat hides under the bed. This writer has put that main clause at the end, put the dependent clause at the beginning, but separated them with a comma for a nice pause in there to make it easy to read. Good luck.